We're tackling a topic that's super important, but also, like, misunderstood: how to spot and then respond to a heart attack or a stroke.
Wow.
And we're using this super insightful article. It's called How to Stop an Heart Attack or Stroke Before It's Too Late.
Okay.
This is a topic that hits close to home for me. Just last year, my neighbor, he thought he just had like a bad case of indigestion,
Oh.
but turned out it was a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
Luckily, he got help super fast, but it really made me realize like just how important it is to know the signs.
Yeah.
To help us break it all down, we've got our expert here who's amazing at making sense of like all this complex medical info.
Yeah.
What really jumps out at you from this article?
Well, honestly, it's kind of alarming how often these emergencies actually happen.
Really?
Did you know that a heart attack happens every 40 seconds in America?
Whoa, every 40 seconds.
That's like almost 1,000 people every single day. It really highlights just how urgent it is to be able to recognize the warning signs.
Yeah, that's a pretty scary thought.
Mm-hmm.
And while, most of us knows that chest pain can be like a major red flag, are there other signs that we might miss?
Right.
What should we really be paying attention to?
You're right. Chest pain, it is like a classic symptom, but it's not always, the dramatic clutch your chest kind of pain that you see in movies.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's more subtle, like pressure or tightness, and the discomfort can like radiate to other areas too. Like your arms, your back, neck, your jaw, even your stomach. Think of it like your heart is sending out an SOS signal.
Okay.
But it's not always using the most obvious channels.
That's a great way to put it. It's like those old spy movies where they send coded messages, right?
Exactly.
So we've got chest pain, radiating discomfort. What else should be like setting off those alarm bells?
Shortness of breath, feeling lightheaded, maybe breaking out in a cold sweat.
Okay.
Nausea. These can all be part of the picture. And this is especially important for women to remember because they often experience heart attack symptoms that are different from men.
Oh, that's right. I remember the article mentioned that. What are some of the differences that we really need to be aware of?
Well, for women, shortness of breath, nausea or vomiting, back or jaw pain, unusual fatigue, these are all more common than that classic chest pain.
Gotcha.
And the fatigue can be really deceptive, as it's like easily mistaken for everyday stress or just being tired.
That's so true. I've definitely blamed way too many things on just being tired myself.
Right.
I can see how those symptoms could be easily dismissed, which makes it even more important to be aware of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, the article also talks about strokes, and thankfully there's a simple acronym to help us remember the warning signs. FAST.
Yeah?
Can you walk us through that?
Absolutely. FAST stands for face, arms, speech, and time. And it's such a great tool for quick assessment.
Okay.
So if you see someone and they're struggling to smile evenly, or if one arm drifts downward when they raise both arms, or if their speech suddenly becomes slurred or strange, these are serious red flags.
Gotcha.
And the T for time is crucial. It means getting help immediately.
So basically, if you notice any sudden change in someone's face, their ability to move their arms or their speech, it's time to call 911, right?
Exactly. Even if the symptoms are subtle or even if they seem to go away really quickly, don't hesitate. Time is brain cells when it comes to stroke, and a quick response can be all the difference.
Okay, that makes sense. But FAST seems to focus mainly on like neurological signs.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other like maybe less obvious stroke symptoms we should also be aware of?
Yeah, you're right. FAST doesn't cover everything. Sudden numbness or weakness, especially on one side of the body, that's another major red flag.
Oh, okay.
It could also be sudden confusion, maybe trouble understanding speech, or a severe headache that just comes out of nowhere, trouble seeing, sudden difficulty walking, dizziness, or loss of balance.
So essentially, any sudden change in neurological function could be a sign of a stroke.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I guess just like with a heart attack, knowing the exact time symptoms started is super important too.
You got it. The more information you can give to emergency responders, the better.
Okay, great.
So let's say you've recognized the warning signs of a heart attack or a stroke. What's the absolute first thing you should do?
Well, calling 911 seems pretty obvious.
Right.
But what about those like crucial minutes while you're waiting for help to arrive?
Yeah.
Is there anything specific you should or shouldn't do? And does it differ depending on whether it's a heart attack or a stroke?
Absolutely. You're right. Calling 911 is definitely priority number one. But those minutes waiting for paramedics can feel like, forever.
Oh, yeah.
And what you do in that time can be, it can be really important. So, and yes, the steps you take, they'll depend on whether you think it's a heart attack or a stroke.
Okay, so let's break it down. What should we do if we think someone is having a heart attack?
Okay, so first things first, if they're not allergic to aspirin, have them chew and swallow an aspirin tablet like right away.
Really?
Aspirin helps thin the blood, which can actually prevent further clotting in the coronary arteries.
That's interesting. I never actually knew the reason behind the aspirin.
Yeah.
So not just pain relief in this case.
Not in this case, no.
Okay. What else?
Well, the next thing is to keep them calm and comfortable. So help them sit or lie down, loosen any tight clothing. Just reassure them that help is on the way.
Got it. So aspirin, keep them calm and comfortable. What about for strokes? Anything we should or shouldn't do while waiting for the ambulance?
With a suspected stroke, the most important thing is to not give them anything to eat or drink. And if they become unconscious, carefully turn them onto their side. This helps keep their airway open, and then just monitor their breathing until help arrives.
It's amazing how different those immediate responses are.
Yeah.
Even though both situations are like incredibly serious, it really shows why knowing this stuff is so important.
Definitely.
But let's shift gears a bit. We've talked a lot about responding to these emergencies, but what about preventing them?
Mm-hmm.
The article had a section on that, right?
It did. Absolutely. And that's really where lifestyle choices come in.
Okay.
While we can't control everything, there are a lot of things we can do to, significantly lower our risk.
So give us the rundown. What are the key things we can really focus on?
Well, it really starts with the basics. Maintaining a healthy blood pressure, healthy cholesterol levels, exercising regularly, aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity every week, and following a balanced diet. Plenty of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, of course, quitting smoking and limiting alcohol are also really important.
Yeah, it's like that classic advice that we've all heard a million times, but, sometimes you need that reminder to actually put it into practice.
Right.
I know I've definitely fallen into that trap of like, oh, I'll start eating healthier tomorrow, or I'll join the gym next week,
But it's so easy to put it off. But honestly, those healthy habits, they really do make a difference.
Yeah.
And it's not just about physical health either. Managing stress through relaxation techniques like mindfulness or deep breathing, that can also have a huge impact on your heart health.
That's a really good point. I've actually been trying to incorporate more mindfulness into my routine lately, and I've noticed that it really does help me manage stress better.
Good.
Plus, it feels good to take a few minutes each day to just, focus on my breathing and be present.
That's great. Sounds like you're already on the right track. And another essential aspect of prevention is regular medical checkups. Early detection and management of any underlying conditions like diabetes, that can make a huge difference.
All right, it's all about being proactive and taking charge of your own health.
Exactly.
Now, one thing that really stood out to me in the article was the section on being prepared for emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us focus on the medical response, but there's so much more to it than just that. What kind of thing would we be thinking about, beyond having a basic first aid kit?
Yeah, that's a really important point that often gets overlooked. You're right. Being prepared for a medical emergency, it goes way beyond just bandages and antiseptic. A readily accessible list of emergency contacts, that's a great place to start. Make sure it includes, your doctor, close family and friends, anyone else that might need to be notified in case of emergency. It's also a good idea to keep a list of your current medications and any allergies handy, too.
Okay.
This info can be invaluable for first responders.
That's a great reminder, especially the part about the medications and allergies.
Yeah.
I have all that stuff, stored in my phone, but I guess in an emergency, you might not be able to access it very easily.
Right.
Having a hard copy somewhere is definitely a good idea.
For sure.
And of course, knowing basic first aid and CPR can be absolutely life-saving.
Yeah.
In those crucial moments before professional help arrives. I actually remember taking a CPR class a few years ago, and it was so empowering to feel like I could actually make a difference in an emergency.
Absolutely. Having that knowledge and those skills can truly be the difference between, a life lost and a life saved.
Wow.
And it's not just about the technical skills either. It's about having a plan. Knowing how to reach emergency care quickly, especially if you live in a rural area or are traveling, can be critical.
Here's a question that's been on my mind. What if you're in a situation where medical help is far away? What if you're camping in a really remote area, or there's a natural disaster that delays emergency services?
That's a great question. It's something the article touches on too. In those situations, having a really thorough home medical guide can be incredibly valuable. Think of it as a resource to help you assess symptoms accurately, take the right actions based on what you observe, and just make more informed decisions about, when to seek out care. It can really give you a sense of confidence and control, especially when things are feeling overwhelming.
That's a great point. It's like having a medical expert right there with you, guiding you through each step.
Exactly.
It makes me think maybe we should all consider having one of those home medical guides.
Yeah.
Even if we live in a city with easy access to healthcare.
I agree. It's an amazing resource for anyone, regardless of where they live.
Yeah.
It can empower you to take control of your health and just make smart decisions in those moments when you need it most.
So before we wrap things up, let's take a minute to recap the key takeaways from this deep dive. It's been a really insightful conversation.
It really has. Yeah. We started by exploring just how common heart attacks and strokes really are, which I think that really emphasizes the importance of recognizing the warning signs.
Right, and we talked about how those warning signs can actually be different for men and women.
Yes.
Which is something that we all need to be more aware of.
For sure. We also talked about, those crucial steps to take while you're waiting for help.
Yeah.
And we highlighted some of the differences between the heart attack and stroke protocols. And of course, we talked about prevention and how making healthier lifestyle choices can significantly reduce our risk.
Yeah. And lastly, we touched on the importance of being prepared, not just with a first aid kit, but also with things like those emergency contacts, medication lists, and a home medical guide.
Exactly. It's all about empowering ourselves with knowledge and the right tools to take action and, potentially even save lives, maybe even our own.
Well said. Speaking of empowerment, there's one final thought I want to leave our listeners with today. What if, in addition to having that home medical guide, you actually created your own, personalized medical kit?
Now that's taking preparedness to a whole new level.
Right.
I love it.
It could be tailored to, your specific needs and any potential health concerns.
Yeah.
Think about it. A mini emergency room right in your own home.
Right. And it doesn't even have to be complicated.
Yeah.
You can start small and gradually build it up over time.
Exactly. It's all about taking those small steps towards being more prepared. And who knows, maybe the process of putting that kit together will, spark a deeper interest in first aid or even inspire you to take that CPR class you've been putting off.
Yeah, it all comes back to empowering yourself. Having the knowledge and the skills to potentially save a life, maybe even your own, it's invaluable.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into heart health.
It's been great exploring this important topic with you.
It's been awesome having you. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us. Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your health. We hope you feel equipped and empowered to take action.
Absolutely. Stay curious, stay informed, and take good care of yourselves.
And until next time, keep diving deep.